Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all. Myself Vaibhav. I hope all of you are doing well. And today it's been a volatile market day as we had multiple economic policy decisions from the central banks around the world. So as a result of that, as a consequence of that, we are seeing increased volatility. And to take advantage of such volatility, of course, we try to build algorithms for that, and that's what we are going to do in this session of my Visual JForex. This is the third and the final session involving the indicator DeMark Sequential TDS. So let us now head to the Visual JForex board, which has been developed by the Dukascopy Bank SA. We had put in place this formation in last two sessions where we have carried out the instrument subscription where the instrument of choice is USD JPY, which is being matched with the candle instrument. After that, the position amount was defined at 0. These TDS blocks of varying candle periods have been added to look at the price volatility and take advantage of that. We are also relying on the information candle of gate historical candle, and to set certain conditions, certain parameters, we are also taking the help of these calculation expression blocks. On the lower side, after this multiple action iteration, we have these if else statements in place, if else blocks, which have been used to define the conditions which need to be fulfilled for the execution of the buy trade. Now, this session is dedicated for the sell side of the equation, so we get started for that. And prior to that, I will give you the brief refresher of what the logic is for the execution of the sell trade. We want to be trading with the trend, and for that, to define the trend, we are taking the help of the TDS. We want the last 4 hourly candle to have the output value of the TDS in negative side, in negative territory. And here, as you can observe from the chart, and also I had explained to you last time around, these numbers plotted with the blue color are indicative of the positive output of the TDS, and these numbers in red are considered negative for the output of TDS. And we don't have the negative values per se, these are absolute numbers, and it can start from 1 and go till 10 or even beyond that. These are integers, and we will be now focusing on the sales side. So we want to be dealing with the red numbers, red output, that is negative output of the TDS, and we want the last 4 hourly candles output of the TDS to be negative. And as I would like to repeat again, not in absolute terms, but in terms of its output, and it is going to be a positive integer number, but it will be considered negative. So okay, so I hope you got the clarity on that front. Now, as I said, we want the last 4 hourly output of the TDS to be negative, and if that condition in place, we turn our attention to the 15-minute time frame, and where we want the reversal to be happening immediately just prior to the execution. So we want the last 15-minute output of the TDS to have been negative, and along with that, we are going to add one more condition, that the penultimate 15-minute candle, just the candle prior to the last 15-minute candle, it should have the TDS output positive. Its output of the TDS should be positive. And in last 15 minutes, now the reversal of sort has happened and the output has turned negative. And that is the time we want to get involved for the trade. So here you can observe that we have these changes happening. Sometimes the TDS output is positive and sometimes it is negative. So we want to get involved for the new trade when this reversal, when this change in direction happens as per the TDS formation. And along with that, we are also going to take the help of the price action data. We need the last 15-minute candle close to be lower than its opening price. And same thing will need to be observed on the 4 hourly candle also. The last 15 minute, last 4 hourly candle closing value should have been less compared to its opening value. So this will be the requirement on the price action front. So now we go back to the Visual JForex board and start adding the conditions for the execution of the trade. And the conditions are quite simple to understand and also equally simple to execute on this JForex board, which is quite simple to understand and use. So now we need the logical formation, logical blocks in place, and we want the formation of the sell side to be symmetrical to the conditions we had put in place for the buy side. And here we had needed 7 of these if blocks, so same number of if blocks will be utilized while defining the conditions for the sell trade. So I am now going to add 7 if blocks. Positive 12, negative 12, and we are going to be more concerned with negative 12. Okay, so output of the negative 12 will need to be greater than 0, as we are only concerned with the absolute value. So the negative output in terms of absolute number, it should be greater than 0. First input greater than second input. And then we take into consideration the lower time frame output of the TDS, and here also same thing should hold. The output of the last 15 minutes of the TDS should be negative. So we take that first input greater than second input, whereas the penultimate 15-minute output of the TDS should have positive output, positive value. So in this case, positive 17 will need to be greater than 0. Okay, so we have these TDS conditions defined now. Now we consider the price action data. The last 15-minute candle closing will need to be lower compared to its opening price. So we consider candle 19 candle close and opening price and compare it. Auto created variables, candle 19 candle close and candle 19 candle open. Candle 18 is the 4-hourly candle, and here also same condition will be needed. The closing value, candle 18 candle close, will need to be lower than candle 18 candle open. First input less than second input. Okay. First input less than second input. And after that, we consider the entry point, which is going to be revolving around the closing value of the last 15 minutes. And as price starts to drop below the closing value of the last 15-minute candle, we will look to initiate the trade. So we have to compare the closing values of candle 20 and candle 21 with the closing value of candle 19. So candle 19 candle close is going to be the common input. And candle 20 and candle 21 close not candle 20, but candle 21 and candle 22. I had overlooked this candle period. These two are 10 seconds. So we have to compare candle 21 and candle 22. Okay. Candle 19 is fine. In this case, first input less than second input. And in case of candle 22nd, first input will need to be greater. After that, we bring in the trade command block. Trading block, open at market. And this is going to be first input greater than second input. Now, let me arrange this on the lower side, which might take few seconds. Now we have to define the trade command blocks input parameters, input values. This is going to be a sale order. Default instrument remains USD JPY. Trade amount I will change to 0.1 million. Slippage is going to be 2 pips. Stop loss and take profit. These are going to be dynamic, which we had defined in the last session. This is simply utilizing the last 15-minute high and the low difference, and we are using that in proportion of 1:2. The stop loss is 100% of the difference, whereas the target price is twice of that. So we will use these values. Okay, so this will make our algorithm more dynamic, and with this our job is mostly done, as we have defined these conditions for the execution of the trade. And let me check if the trade iteration flow is going till the very end, and it is not, as I had forgotten to connect it to multiple action. Now it looks fine. So that's it from my side for the day, and with this we are done with the TDS indicator algorithm formation. I hope you have been able to understand the logical as well as the execution part of this algorithm. And if you want to discuss anything related to these, you can write to me in the feedback section, and I'll be more than happy to take the discussion forward. I would suggest that you do check out the Dukascopy Analytics page for the research material on the market development, for which the link has been provided. We are also available on the Facebook. You can join us there. Thank you all for joining in. See you next time. Till then, goodbye.